Record. All right, welcome to the Sunday weekly market review. You've got James on the line and you've
Going
got
on.
myself. So we're going to start with the usual corporates. I'm going to kick it off. So we got Dixie here. So Dixie on the weekly chart, we had a green candle here and, we've got some reasonable volume here. Um, Now, normally with this pattern, I think 2 weeks ago, no, last week, I was saying that I'd expect us to come back down into this box. We didn't quite get into the box. So I think at the moment we've got like a lower high, which potentially could be a sling off, or we might do a double bottom, or we might go slightly lower. So those are the three options I'm looking for. However, when I look at this candle here, and the fact that the sellers could not really overpower the kind of the buyers is still a green candle. And now when I go into 4 hours and look at 4 hours, I can see that we've got there's a pink candle here, which means selling pressure is drying out. Um, so potentially, and we've come back into the controlling candle as well, which is here, and we're kind of trying to go. So I think it's possible now. It's not confirmed yet, but it's possible that we will get reversal on the Dixie to go into the 200 moving average here. And because we're also going to have a dead cross incoming, normally with dead crosses, you kind of rally into the dead cross before you have the actual fall. So I'm erring on that side where we're going to rally up into the dead cross. Then after the dead crosses, we come back probably below here. That'll be what I would expect. So that's how I'm seeing the dollar at the moment. So I think we might get a bit of a rally on the dollar for a few days, maybe next week, and then after that we have a dead cross, we collapse, we come back below this point, and that will be the kind of bottom for the dollar. I think into the 96, maybe 96, 94, 95, somewhere there. That might be the bottom for the dollar, and then we start going up properly. So that's me done. And what I'll do is I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna stop recording. Oh, sorry, stop talking, and then James resume.
Yeah, so I don't really want to totally abandon kind of what we went through a couple weeks ago of kind of like this yellow S consolidation. I marked it out with our green arrows here. Here we have some consolidation, and here we have consolidation. This is after a lower band touch. After a lower band touch. This is the only one that kind of just melted up. So I would say, this is 33%, this is 33%, this is 33%. So we got about a 66% chance, just looking at history, we got about a 66% chance that we have a little bit of sideways, a little bit of consolidation here. I don't want to go, this does have a 33% chance of just kind of melting
But
up.
you're looking at the Nasdaq, not the Dixie.
Yeah, I was just gonna move on to
The Dixie, yeah,
oh, with the Dixie, yeah. So
yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a bounce and then lower and then probably higher when we get to September around there. Then, things anywhere from September to December, I think those will be a turning point for Dixie. But as you could see here, we did have the nice bounce up, eating up some of this candle we made, and then we did roll over, and now it's kind of we're starting to see the first leg of this yellow band here. It looks like it's going to try and play out something like this. We could have like a week or two where we come back up and touch that 78.6 level, but I think we do just continue to maybe roll over, touch the side of this megaphone here, ride it down until probably like November, where things will start to switch around for the Dixie. But for as far as summer and most of fall, pretty bearish on the dollar. So that's all I got for the dollar.
Okay, so we got the Nasdaq, and I'll start with the monthly because obviously the month is ended. So You can see the monthly candle formed is pretty strong. We can see the RS, the MACD. We have a divergence, divergence on the MACD as well, ticking up in a positive territory. We've got RSI. Hold on a minute. RSI is just also moving up in a positive towards crossing. So this is really bullish. The only thing I'll say is with monthly charts like this, when you have a green candle, you tend to like, for example, even if we want to start with something like this one here, like this one here, here, there's always a comeback into the candle. There's always a comeback. You're going to come back a little bit. So I can only compare this to this scenario here, where we are kind of inching towards the KC channel. So wherever the monthly candle comes, sometimes you inch back, sometimes you don't a lot, but I expect this one will inch back a bit because there's a bit of a selling pressure on the top of that monthly candle. So I'd expect this to come back, and I think these tops here, this top, I don't really want to see as below here, 2961, because that would not be a good sign. If by the next month, we closing below here, that's not good. You go, we've just overpowered this big candle, and then we come back below it. That's not good. So monthly is looking really positive. Bring it to the weekly chart, and the weekly you can see again, Magri's in the positive territory. Volume I was a bit concerned about last week when I did my video because I was talking about volume of buying tailing off there. So I'm not surprised we had a bit of a sell-off in this candle, but the candle closed positively. That's the key point here. So we closed above this candle, this selling candle. So which means we're still in a positive territory, although there's a bit of a selling pressure. And then if I step it back to 12 hours, I don't even want to go to the daily, but I want to step it to 12 hours. We have a rejection candle. So big rejection candle. After a big sell-off like this, you can expect a good move to the upside. And we've kind of done a divergence. So if we go here to there, there's a divergence on the RSI. Even if you pick it up on the daily as well, there is there's a clear divergence here as well. So this is looking good for the Nasdaq to kind of go up. I think it will go up and either do a double top or we go higher. I think we go higher because the move is only just started. This move is, although it started for a while, I think we started in April. Uh, I would see this move as, we're going step one, step two, step three, and we're gonna go and do step four and five, do a new all-time high, I think, on this one. So I at the very least, going to next week, I'd expect us to do a um, double top at the very least. We'll go up and do a double top, and then we see how it pans out when we get to the top here, whether actually we're able to actually overpower it or not. I think because we're going to have a golden cross incoming on the daily chart, with these golden crosses, you tend to go up first, and then again there's a dump. So I will not be surprised that we go up, do a double top, and then start coming back down and come back all the way down here to kind of, kind of correct ourselves before we start going again. So that's what I'll be looking for on the Nasdaq, a move up. So if I was trading it, I definitely would buy, but my stop loss would be here. If we go below here, then you don't really want to stay in it, really, because the move is invalidated. Um, so you open your position in this box. I think there will be a small pullback into this wick, and take a position somewhere here, and then stop loss will be down just below it, and you ride it all the way to the top. And as soon as you break even, move your stop loss to break even point and leave the trade to run, would be how I'd play this one. So I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna pass it to James. There we go.
Yeah, just to kind of go off what I was saying, as you could see, we got a blue line right here and a blue line right here. That's consolidation after the lower Bollinger touch. We got one right here, one right here. So, and then we have one that goes straight up. So I give us about a 66% chance of consolidation here at these levels to go along with what Kenny was saying. The double top or triple top, depending on how you want to view these two tops right here, is looming. It's going to take a decent amount of pressure, decent amount of news, stuff from Trump. It's going to take a lot to get us up over and into something that looks like this here. So kind of waiting and seeing. Like Kenny said, we're going to see what it does at that top level. But if I had to make a bet, I would say that we're going to have a little bit of sideways action here. Even though we've kind of been going straight up, so kind of like this one, where we kind of just go straight up and we just keep going and keep going. We will see how we act at this upper Bollinger. That's kind of going to tell us because this upper Bollinger, we kind of felt it. And this one, we kind of came out of it a little bit, though it wasn't into all-time highs. So I would take this kind of with a grain of salt because this move takes a lot less power than something like this, pushing us into price discovery. So I would I wouldn't go selling the house to invest in Nasdaq or anything. You're going to have some weeks here to dollar cost average. And yep, that's all I got.
Okay, the next one we got is SPX, and to be honest, XPX is in a very similar situation to the Nasdaq. I would say maybe the XPX looks much more stronger because of the candle being green as opposed to red. Um, but yeah, I'd expect a pullback. I think maybe in next week, maybe it's possible that we come back to maybe the 9 moving average, which is my green, test that, and then continue going up and potentially go and either do a double top again or we go slightly, we go higher. Would be, what I would expect. If I look at the monthly chart, it's a very strong month. There's no ifs or buts about it. It's a strong, strong green candle, solid, strong green candle. So maybe we eat it back into some of it. We eat back into some of it a little bit. Um, I mean, similar to how even this one panned out, where, after the month we came back into it a little bit. But this candle here is a solid candle. If you compare it to maybe this candle here, then you expect a small eat back into it and then continue going up to, do a new all-time high or double top or a new all-time high. So I've got my area of interest drawn there. So I'd expect us to come into that area of interest, which is here, and then continue going up. That'll be how I played. If you take the trade again, stop loss has to be below here. If you open your position somewhere there, then the stop loss should be here. If it goes below here, the trade is wrong. You don't want to stay in it. Um, and if you get into profit, and you get to somewhere here, you move your stop loss to break even and you allow it to run. See if we get to the top. Would be how I kind of set this trade up. So I think that's enough on Nasdaq, and I'm just gonna pass it back to James.
Yeah, so kind of the same thing with S&P as we saw on Nasdaq. This one kind of paints a little bit of a different view. If we take megaphone patterns and kind of it really loves to print these megaphone patterns and go through the distribution process. So this is pretty bullish. If we're gonna print this megaphone and we're gonna print this kind of, these similar these similar things here, after we come up here, if we consolidate in this blue box and exit out the top, it's gonna be very bullish and it's gonna signify a lot. We can shrink this box down a little bit. We can maybe try and get if we want to try and trade this, we can try and get a Fibonacci extension just to get some levels here. We'll take this low all the way to the tip of that green candle. We'll drop it back down to the low. So we will say that the 1.618 at 6120 on the S&P 500 E-mini futures is going to be the top of our box here just to make this tradable. So we have some numbers to rely on. So I think eventually, within again, going up until November, just like kind of we said with Dixie, we're gonna kind of go sideways as Dixie kind of, goes sideways, melts down. We'll have high days and we'll have low days. A lot of volatility coming, I presume. But if we can break this box past this 1.618, which is the measured move off of this, if we can break that and go higher, I think we will kind of print something as we saw in this microphone um, from 2020 back till 2018, and we'll kind of see that play out to where we had, let's see, from 2020 to 2021, 1 year of bullish up. So something like this. So we kind of, are playing this out a little bit. So if we could break this box to the upside, kind of towards the end of this year, it's gonna have a lot of upside. It's
No,
gonna be good for investors. So that's all
it
I
looks
got.
very bullish, I think. Right, next page is gold, right? Gold, 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 right? So gold is obviously, I think if I look at it on a monthly scale, you can see that, there's a lot of sell pressure. I mean, you would expect it after such a big bullish candle anyway. But there's a lot of sell pressure here. And if we bring it back to, and we also in a very, very oversold, like oversold region on RSI, 85 on a monthly chart is quite high. And if you look at the previous time we topped out somewhere there, 84, 85. So we are kind of in that zone of a topping out on gold. If you bring it to the weekly chart, we are the stopping candle and we kind of pulled back into the band, the KC band. We've tried to go back above it. We could not. And the following week, we've also been kind of rejected of the band. Now that tells me that gold is going to go down because it's failed one, two, three times to get over the band and being rejected now. So I'd expect, and also if we look at the trend line, we tried to break above the trend line here. Um, we couldn't, and this one tried, and it did break it, but we closed below the trend line. That is not good. Although there's some sell pressure at the bottom, it's not looking good for gold, I think, for me. So I think gold is definitely a short. And if you want to open a short, make sure your stop loss is above, just above here. I'll put it actually above this body candle here, which is 3366. And let it ride. Let it ride because I think potentially it comes all the way back to the lower band, which is sitting around 2815. So that's what likely. It's not going to happen all in a week. This is probably you're talking maybe 3 4 weeks trading, where price gets back to this lower band. This line I've drawn here is where I'd expect gold to kind of fall back to. Initial point will be here. It will come back here, do a small bounce up, then continue the journey down here, do a small bounce up, and then consolidate, and then continue maybe going up. So that's gold. That's how I see gold going into next week. And I'm just going to hand it back to James to, yeah,
So this is a chart I made when I was like maybe 2, 3 years into trading in 22. Um, just found it the other day. This is a cup and handle, and then this was the measured move. And here we are. It's just kind of cool to look at, how patience is a virtue and, getting sucked into these hourly, 4 hour charts is really detrimental to traders because, it a lot of people are not high frequency traders, and like it or not, trading on the hourly is a high frequency trade. So, it's nice to kind of look back, have a chart that you can go to for like, all time price chart that you can hit the weekly scale and have stuff drawn out that you can look at. So this is kind of nice to see. So the measured move has played out. As far as this goes, this doesn't really tell you what's going to happen after it plays out. It kind of just tells you the measured move. So let's go into, you see that tab switch, Kenny? Did you see that one?
yeah, I
So
can
we're
see it.
okay,
Yeah,
cool. So here we are. Let's go into the daily. Let's check our volume. So volume kind of ended with a big red. So however this volume, when it's increasing, increasing, increasing like this, however that's going to end is kind of where price is going to go. So it's going to end with this big red here. So more than likely price is going to kind of turn down and go towards some of our targets we got here at the 161.8 mark at around 3,000. I think that would be target number one. I am hesitant to be super bearish on gold. I mean, it did just kind of have a run up. This is probably um what Bitcoin is gonna try and do this year, something like this. So, I think it's probably topped out and it's gonna be it's pretty funny how Bitcoin is a bit more volatile or how gold is being a bit more volatile than Bitcoin right now. Um, so And then one more thing with the PVSRA volume, if you want to go into like the hourly or 4 hourly scale, it kind of does these increases and decreases in volume. So we kind of go, we like, we get bigger and then we get smaller and then we get bigger and then we get smaller. There definitely is something here to be studied. When price gets to low volumes, like right here. Volume retracting, retracting, retracting. Here's the fake out move. This right here. The first couple volume candles that break the threshold after a retraction is the fake out. And I noticed this on Bitcoin originally. Um, It's market makers, it is what it is, but I can track them and I can track what they do so they don't scare me much. And then of course after the fake out, what did we have? The big run up. Boom. I mean, it's not why it happened, but it just seems to flash itself. If we want to go back to right here, we're coming down, retracting a lot. There's like an absolute volume fall off right here. Um, and then what broke the threshold? Red candle, this right here. This was a fake out, pretty clear fake out. When you can go into the 4 hour time frame and you look where the volume's at, and this is where the volume is, and then you see this, you can tell yourself, okay, that's a fake move. And that's why this PVSRA is so clutch. So that's all I got for gold.
Right. Golden. Okay, so we're going to look at the volatility index. I think last week I was calling for it to come back down and into this box. It's on its way. It's not got there yet, but it's on its way coming. I expect it to come into this box. I think next week we will continue coming down. Volatility index will keep on coming down. So there'll be a bit of stability. You won't get these big spikes yet. Not yet. I think we're gonna have a bit of a calm, I think, in the markets. I think so. Again, you can see here like we've had the golden cross, right? So here you can see, so golden cross pushes you up, and after the golden cross, you dump. So, um, so I expect this to come back in, bring it home on this one. So that's the volatility index. Let's look at BT dominance quickly, and then we move on. We look at the monthly chart on Bitcoin dominance. This is not looking good for Bitcoin dominance. This candle, that is not good. That is a hanging man or whatever they call it. So although there's rejection of lower prices on it, it's not looking great for me. So this tells me that there is potentially an altcoin season coming, brewing, I think. So that's a good monthly chart. Weekly chart, if we go to the weekly chart, so we have this candle, which is still controlling candle at the moment. And I just drew a trend line across, I think across, where was it? Across these tops just to see we've kind of broken above it, and the week is not finished. So, anything can happen. The only concern for me with it is the fact that, we went up on higher volume, which is great. But if you look at the volume, if you look at the big volume here and look at the body of the candle, I mean, this sort of volume. it's like it's one of the biggest volumes. It's comparable to like you know some of these big candles, like this one. Look at that. Okay, well, this is probably in the middle somewhere here. Basically, I mean, this is too small. The body is too small, which tells me that like the energy should give you a bigger candle, and there's manipulation somewhere. Someone doesn't want this to go up. That's how I see it. So we've gone up higher, but we've gone up on lower volume, which is also not good. Normally, you want increase in volume rather than lower volume. So for me, and then also we've got MACD also in a weak territory as well. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter, which means, the steam is drying out. You want MACD getting higher and higher and higher. Normally, that's what you want to see. Like here, higher and higher and higher and higher and higher when we're coming down. It could also be consolidation because you're coming down, but you're still going up. It could be consolidation to go even higher. So for me, worst case scenario, we do a double top and then we come back down, or we do a slightly higher high, and then that'll be the end of Bitcoin dominance, I think. So Bitcoin dominance for me, is looking like it's topping out. And if you bring it even to 4 hours, you can see we tried to go outside the band and we got rejected, and we have a kind of like a stopping candle at the moment being formed here. So I think Bitcoin dominance collapses and comes down based on this. If this 4 hours candle, which is finishing at 5 o'clock, finishes like this, it's a stopping candle. You're gonna start going down, and it's like a double top as well. So that's what I've got on Bitcoin dominance, and then total three quickly. So total three on the monthly. Let's look at it on the monthly chart. So monthly, we ended bullish, still bullish. So on the months, the only thing is MACD is tailing off. But this is again where I would say is a consolidation because at the moment, all I can say is we're closing higher and higher. We close higher and higher. So higher highs is good. Um, and if we bring it to the weekly, we can see we've done the first step. We pulled back. And I think what will probably happen is going into next week, we might go slightly lower. So we might go slightly lower and then come back. So we may test the 200 and go back up. The trend line is still doing its job. So I think we may have to move this a little bit to the side and move that there. And so this was the trend line. Yeah. So, we're above the trend line. We've come back to retest the trend line. And I think, next week we could potentially zip and keep going up. So that's what I'll be expecting. If I bring it to the daily chart, we are on the 50 and we've touched the 200. So I wouldn't want to really see us break the 200, to be honest. If we break the 200, close below the 200 and confirm, then you're coming all the way down here, which is not a great place. So I think most chance that this holds and, we continue going up. So that's total three. Then we have, I want to look at the Bitcoin CME chart. So uh, the CME chart on the weekly chart, they closed with this rejection candle. Um, the only thing is that the candle is not overpowering. This candle is not overpowering this candle. This candle still swallows it up. So that tells me we're going to go up rather than collapse down. So, I think next week maybe we could come back into this week, and I've got 103,575 somewhere there, which is the top of this point here as a top where maybe their chart would bring us back to, and then we continue going up. So their chart looks really positive, although it's a red weekly candle. If you go on the monthly chart, again, it's a positive green candle. So, and we have triple green on the monthly chart, you're going to go up. No two ways about it. You might pull back a little bit. We can even pull back all the way down to this point here, 102, 300. We can even pull all the way down back to here, which is even 98. We can. but we're still going to go up higher. This is going to go higher into next month. And then if I bring it to the daily chart, so we are almost at the middle of the band, KC band. And I think, yeah, I think we can pierce it, but we will definitely be going back up again. So that's the CME chart. And now we go on to the actual Bitcoin chart for a view. So for me, I think, you know, this monthly chart is, again, if we look at it from a monthly chart, and I think I drew these boxes here in terms of where I think price will go. The monthly chart closed really positive, positive monthly chart, green candle, really strong green candle, strong volume. Volume is on the volume between this and this is slightly lower, but it's still looking really promising. And we've come back into this candle. And we seem to be trying to go up. If I bring it to the weekly chart, we had a red candle. Normally with these red candles, when I see them, I like to take long positions off the back of them because they tend to swing to the other side, especially when they are in their above MACD is above. We may come slightly lower. Sometimes we may not even come lower, and we may just continue going up. I can show you an example here. So if you look at, for example, uh, want a thick one, but maybe not find one here. Where we have that. Um, Here. So look at this here, right? So if you see this, so you had this candle, and we didn't come below it. Big selling volume, weekly candle, and we didn't come below it. We just continue going up. We had a bit of a selling pressure, but it was absorbed, and we kept going up. So I mean, I'm not too worried about this candle we formed, to be honest. I think we could potentially come down. The scenarios for me, we kind of come down to 102.084 or 5, and then continue going up. Or worst case scenario, we come back into this candle here, which is sitting around, I think it's sitting around low of 100, 678, something like that. And then we continue going up. So, if you take a position at the right at the bottom here, so you take a position at the bottom of it, and then maybe you put another open position somewhere here, maybe another one here, three. One of them will get picked up. One of them will get picked up, and you'll be going into potential another new all-time high. So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. I mean, if I go to 4 hours, 4 hours is starting to look interesting to me. It's starting to look very, very interesting. I think if I go onto the hourly chart, there might be a PVSRA color. Yeah, there we go. So you got one of those volume candles on there. So this potentially could start going up, could start creeping up. And maybe the kind of the pullback is already done, the damage is already done, and you tend to continue going up. But I'm always skeptical when the move starts on a Sunday. So until Monday, the pullback is still possible before you continue going up. So in summary, I think what we're going to see is a potentially we might just continue going up, or we might just pull back a little bit, maybe to between, let's call it between 100,000 and 102, somewhere there, and then we continue going up. I'm going to stop and then pass it to James to give us his view.
Yeah, so I would err on the side of caution as we have liquidity that we need to kind of gobble up. The first set of it is at 99K, and then the second set of it is at 89K. So if we were to do it, I presume we'll do it in the next 3 days for to get down to 99K and get some of this liquidity off the table. If we do that and we bounce, my target is 125K. If it takes us longer and we consolidate this move and we get down to 89 and price turns around, my target turns to 166K. So I'm kind of looking at conviction here. So I'm measuring conviction. Where's the conviction? If we come down to here, yes, it's we're not going to get the same amount of buyers as we would down here at 89. If and I know 89 is kind of crazy to say and whatnot, but I've been trading Bitcoin, looking at Bitcoin since 2019. There can very well be a move that goes from there can be a 12% wick. Okay. There's a lot of traders in this market. There's a lot of money in this market. Binance has a lot of money. They can flush. This wick would get bought up so fast, it would close at probably 99K or above. If you can catch this move, it's going to be a money maker. And when that happens, that is going to be a big spring for price, and it is going to send us higher if that wick ends up looking like that. But if we can only get down to, 99K, and I don't think we'll have that pressure to get up to 144, 166. Um, I honestly think right now, the way it looks, that we go down, we touch 98, 99, we go up to 125, and then the party's over. Um, if we go past 99 and we keep going down, that should trigger your sixth sense of this is going to be a big wick. Like if what day is that? If Tuesday comes around, Tuesday, Wednesday comes around and they're pushing price below 99, you might be looking at a 10% move down at that point, which, it'll get bought up. I don't think, we're in a bear market by any means, but I think that this move right here that we just made needs to be consolidated a little bit. And that's how I trade. I look for these moves that I know Bitcoin will react at. I know Bitcoin will react at 99 and I know it'll react at 89. So I'm on the sidelines, as far as what's how much Bitcoin I have spot is one thing, but trading, I'm kind of staying away from these levels. We can go to the daily and check out what happened. We did have a fun time up above this Bollinger. It was great. It was fun. I hope you all made a boatload of money. But we crossed down into it, and when we go to the weekly, um, we have 8 hours to close above 106. So there's your bullish case. I mean, if we can close above 106, if they pull something crazy, even, it would be kind of something to look at, but it's still a Sunday, and I don't know. I wouldn't put much weight on that weekly band. The daily already has confirmed it 4 times, so I would just kind of give up on the Bollinger bullish idea. Um, and you got anything, Kenny? Because this is all I got for Bitcoin. Just watch this level here, the 99. It's going to be this week. Something's going to happen this week, probably Wednesday.
Hmm.
And then
Sure.
if we're gonna go lower, it's probably, I could probably move this somewhere like because it's gonna be a nasty move. But I
Yeah.
mean, just play it how it lies. You can make a lot of money there, but a lot of people are gonna be liquidated if that does happen. And crazier things have happened, like
Hmm.
truly. Like
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
this isn't I know
It's not
it's kind of
impossible.
crazy to
It's not
say, but
impossible. I mean, you always have to look at the other side of it. So, the bullish case and obviously the bearish case.
like I am bullish on Bitcoin. There's always a possibility that we could just go up here and this move is it. But as far as how I trade, I'm looking for, and sometimes you don't get a chance to jump in, and it is what it is. But
Yeah,
if we're gonna sit here and look at it from the PVSRA, Wyckoff structure, we're gonna look at this as a structured asset, and we're gonna try and, diagnose it. These are things that have to be looked at.
yeah,
These breaks on this hourly time frame need to be resolved. And when they do it, it'll be a nice chance for them to come after some stop losses. and then we'll probably turn back up to 125K. If they want to drop the bag, the floor will be about 91 to 89, and then that'll probably get bought up like very, very fast. But they're
Cool.
just trying to wash out that market.
Okay.